I'm sitting next to this girl and she's like, oh, what are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm gonna be a fertility doctor. And then she was like, oh, you're from the Caribbean. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm gonna be. She goes, do you know there's no fertility doctor from the Caribbean? And I was like, well, you know what? I think that's gonna be me. Hi, my name is Dr. Roohi Jeelani, Ross class of 2010, and I'm currently in private practice at Vios Fertility Institute in Chicago, and I'm also the Director of Research and Education here. I always knew I wanted to be a doctor, just not sure what kind of doctor. At age 12, I'd seen a fertility specialist or also a reproductive endocrinologist, just being an athlete. And when I walked in there, I saw lots of odd pictures that you wouldn't see at 12. I asked her what she does, and she said she helps make babies. So from that point on, I was determined that I'm gonna be a fertility specialist. My cousin, who was a great mentor, Dr. Samir Nasiruddin, who's also a Ross alum, guided me, and he was like, you know what, hey, I went to Ross and look at me, like I'm doing phenomenal. And not only does it help you educationally, but I really think it shows you, like you see the people that work there, they just empower you and they're always there for you. And I think it builds more of a fire in you. And that's what he told me. I went to the island back in the day, it was Dominica, and kind of paved my way from there. I knew that in order to be a fertility doctor, which I never changed, was how do I get to my end goal? And that was to only apply to places that had an the REI fellowship. So they have a branch called the PRBNIH at Wayne State, and they're the foundation of, they're also part of the RMN network, that's a reproductive medicine network, and it's led by Dr. Michael Diamond, who's one of the fathers of infertility. So I knew, I was like, oh, he's there, this is where I'm gonna go, this is what's gonna make my application the strongest for when I do choose to apply for my infertility fellowship. It was more of a stepping stool to get to fertility. So I slowly started building my resume, and as a fourth-year med student at Ross, I was able to present an oral prize paper at the American Society of Reproductive Medicine, which is huge. Like as a full-out blown doctor, that's a rare opportunity, let alone as a fourth-year medical student from the Caribbean. And then somebody's like, well, you should apply, like you have a lot of research. So my core became oncofertility, so the study of the effects of chemotherapy on how it impacts future fertility and how it impacts the embryos. So they're like, you should apply for a WARHR grant. A WARHR stands for Women's Reproductive Health Research Grant. So I applied, I got it, and it's a K-12, it's an institutional grant. And it's protected research. It's 75% protected research and 25% clinical. Doing a WARHR is so much protected research time. I was like, well, I'm doing a lot of research, and a lot of the classes, so it's in reproductive physiology, are very similar to medical school classes. So I'm like, if I'm gonna put in the time and effort, then I should get that degree for it. So the only difference is I would have to present a thesis, and which is no big deal because I'm gonna have to do it for my fellowship anyways, or I did, and I have to publish, which I do anyways. So I'm on track to be a dual MD PhD. I think infertility is so much more common than people expect, and it's such a taboo and a stigma that people don't openly talk about it, and that's initially why I started my whole campaign about like educate, empower, just know your body, know your spouse, and the intimacy about it. It's okay to not be okay, I think, is number one. It's okay to ask for help and talk about it is number two. And number three is that there are options out there. There's so many options. And I think the hardest part for a patient to realize, or somebody struggling with it to realize, is it's not how you envisioned it. And a lot of our life, we control. We control our outcomes, and this outcome we can't control. And I think that's what makes it the hardest. I would definitely have to say Ross is what my foundation and my core and everything that I stand for built. You guys truly are the reason I'm here.